I'm Tracy Metz, and I'm interviewing Anthony Townsend for Stadsleven, the monthly talk show and digital magazine. Anthony is a research director at the Institute for the Future in New York and a senior research fellow at New York University Rudin Transportation Center. He's also the author of this interesting book, Smart Cities, Big Data, Civic Hackers, and the Quest for a New Utopia. Welcome to the talk show Stadsleven. My first question to you is, in the book you say computers will reshape cities and vice versa. How do you see that happening?
Well, I mean, if you look at trends, we're at 50% urbanized globally, world's population, on our way to 90% by the end of the century, if the forecasts play out. But it's also a period when we're seeing computing move off of the desktop, where it's been literally since the beginning in the 1940s, and move out into the world. We're carrying it there in our pockets. We're building it into infrastructure and buildings, vehicles. It's everywhere. And those two things are playing out at the same time. And the way that they shape each other, we're seeing technology designers have to deal with the fact that computers are now out on the streets, that they know where they are.
In our pockets.
Right, and people are interacting with them in all kinds of weird ways that they never have before.
But how does that affect the city?
The systems are being used to control how the city operates. And if you just look at your own smartphone, there are probably dozens of apps on there that you use to interact with the city. So there's this almost like layer of middleware, interpretive layer, that's being woven in between you and the physical stuff of the city, or between you and other people in the city.
So much of the smart city, the buzzword smart city, is about efficiency. And you said in your talk at the Smart City Conference that we're computing away the problems of the 21st century.
So I think, for the last 5 years, we've seen a really aggressive marketing pitch by a number of big global technology companies that we need to invest in upgrading our cities to make them more efficient. And they're basically taking the same value proposition that they have had a lot of success with global companies, saying, we'll manage your logistics better, we'll reduce your office footprint, we'll reduce your energy consumption, and basically carrying that over to local government. And sure, that's an important role of local government, is to try to run things better and to do more with less. But there's all kinds of other aspirations and values that people have for their community, better governance, more happiness, delight, pleasure, fun. And these are the kinds of things that those technology companies really don't have a lot to say about or a lot to offer. And that's where we've seen this just groundswell of innovators, app developers, people hacking around with open data, architects and urban designers trying to understand what these technologies can do, say to make public space more vital and vibrant, to increase the possibility of chance encounters, the kinds of things that people that really drive and are the lifeblood of cities,
the serendipity of
aren't about efficiency.
Meeting, more than just efficiency. On the one hand, you say that citizens need to become stakeholders of the new smart city. At the same time, you say a lot of citizens are just in it for the fun of finding the best latte or, for example, using Foursquare to meet their friends.
Yeah, so I think it's important for us to understand that I think we need to involve a much broader range of the population in not necessarily creating technologies as a smart city, but at least defining some of the problems that they're going to solve. And that's going to actually lead us to better solutions at the end of the day, because the engineers and the designers will be asked to actually solve the problems that people have rather than what they think the problems are. That said, I don't expect everybody to go out and learn how to code smartphone apps. But they can be involved in things like setting the vision, in things like evaluating various different programs and policies and outcomes. So there are a lot of different ways, I think, for different stakeholders to get involved. And really, what I'm trying to do is just kind of encourage that and try to get people to understand that they do have a voice in the future of their city. And if they're willing and interested, they are able, that the technology is accessible and they don't have to sort of just accept whatever comes shrink-wrapped to them.
And what's the role of big business, like companies like IBM and Cisco? you say that they are not the source of innovation in the city. At the same time, they have the financial power and the computing power to be a source of innovation.
I think most of the really compelling technology and sort of user innovations in the smart city space have come from entrepreneurs, small companies, startups, individual developers. Where the big technology companies come into play, I think, is engineering excellence and their ability to take a good idea that may have been developed by a startup and find a way to make it 99.999% reliable. Find a way to scale up something that's maybe version 1 and get it to version 7 where it can actually be deployed on a city scale and be reliable and not crash. And that's where I look to those companies for those kinds of things. The incremental advances that they've been able to deliver in making power grids more efficient or reducing traffic congestion, I almost think of those as those are no-brainers. That's the least common denominator. Every city has to do those kinds of things. It's the crazy, really transformative, disruptive ideas that come from the grassroots that I think are where the real value lies.
You say that there's, as a parallel to the urban master plans, the city development master plans that we've known for quite, for centuries, that we're now developing digital master plans. What do those look like?
They all look different, which is what's really interesting. I mean, if you pulled, say, 2 land use plans from any 2 random cities in the world, they look pretty much the same. You would recognize them as these are the same thing, describing what kinds of activities should go on in different zones of the city. Digital master plans are a very new thing. Cities are trying to understand how they should think long-term about technology and the role that it plays, in all the various functions of the city. And so some, actually talk about the public realm, what we should do with streets and plazas and sidewalks with technology. Some completely ignore that. Some focus on economic development and the tech sector itself, assuming that a smart city will just emerge if you have a healthy local tech economy.
Do you think it will?
I think it's an important piece of the foundation because I think it's an important resource to have if you want to engage a larger segment of the population. I think it's always good for those companies themselves to have a living laboratory to experiment in. And so it's in their interest as well for the city the city government to pursue a smart strategy. The
subtitle of your book, Smart Cities, is Big Data, Civic Hackers, and the Quest for a New Utopia. What does that new utopia look like?
So that's kind of a red herring. I deliberately didn't lay out my vision for a new utopia because I think that's the wrong way to think about it. We've seen any number of sort of poster child smart cities around the world, from Songdo in South Korea to Masdar in Abu Dhabi, that really were planned utopias based on very sophisticated technology. And they've either failed or are in the process of failing. And I think it's because this technology is so flexible, so adaptive that there really is no single design that can capture all of its potential. And I think a sort of tradition of good urbanism is that we should let the order evolve from the bottom up through the investments and decisions that individuals and small groups make. And the technology really enables that. So my utopia in the last chapter of the book is basically just a set of 13 principles. It's almost like a punch list or a scorecard. I call it a new civics for smart cities that you should use when you're evaluating these proposals and as they come down the pipeline. So things like making sure everyone's connected, making sure that when we build software models that govern the city, that we make those open and transparent in the same way we make data open and transparent. Things like opting into smart. We don't have to just race to technology as the solution. We should really think about, are there other less involved ways of solving problems, maybe through urban design or just policy.
Thank you very much for this conversation, and congratulations on the success of your new book, Smart Cities.
Thank you very much,
Anthony
Tracy.
Townsend.